And there's I see what you doing. That podcast. That's gonna be big. That's it. I seen it last night. Don't you let nobody discourage. I'll back you. I'll back you.
Hello, Faith and Fun family. Welcome back to another episode. The guest that I have today, she's very dear to my heart, and I am so excited for her to tell her story. It's a story. Before we get started, grab your tissues, grab your tissues, your paper towels, your handkerchief. Just grab it. This is going to be a really, really good episode. Beside me, I have Kathy Holmes. She is an author. Her book is right here. We'll talk more about that later on in the episode. Get ready. It's going to be good. Kathy, how are you feeling?
I'm doing good.
That's good. Are you nervous?
Yes.
Why are you nervous?
Just a little bit.
Well, like I like to tell people, think of it as a recorded conversation. You telling your story.
Okay.
That's all it is.
Okay.
How are you feeling?
I feel good.
Okay. So I want to get to Kathy now, but I want to talk about what got Kathy to where she is. So tell me a little bit about your childhood.
Well, I was raped as a child by my uncles, and I was raped by the youth pastor and his brother. So my childhood was pretty rough.
Yeah. So now, were you active? Like, you were active in church and stuff?
Yes, I used to sing in the choir.
Okay, Kathy. What was your favorite song?
I grew up, I'm older, so. So, Walter Hall, I grew up on Walter Hawkins and Shirley Caesar and all of them, Dorinda Clark and the Clark sisters.
Okay.
So I grew up with all the.
So now it's a song that's out now well, it's been out, but Dorinda, but it's starting to come back around. I'm still here.
Yeah.
And it's about a grace of God.
Yes. That's my testimony.
So, while all of these things were happening to you, how did you feel? Being in the church, knowing who God is, knowing that God is this loving God and this perfect God, and having people who ministers, pastors, your family doing these things to you. How did that perception of God change for you? Did it change, or what was in your mind?
Yeah, it changed. I was angry with God for years. I grew up looking for love in all the wrong places, all the wrong people. So I didn't think God loved me. So I still went to church. I didn't hate God.
Yeah.
I still went to church, but I was just going.
Yeah.
I wasn't serving God.
Ooh.
But I was just showing up at church because that's what you're supposed to go to church on Sunday. So let me go to church. But I wasn't serving God because I was angry with God. I didn't think he loved me. You let all this bad stuff happen to me.
Yeah.
I was only a child, so I didn't think he loved me.
Yeah.
So I was mad with him for some years.
Yeah. Okay, so I want to talk about the accident. Can we talk about, now I know the day of the accident, but it's some in your book that I read. It's some things in there that was good to me.
Okay.
So I want to talk about leading up to the day you decided to go. Tell us about where you was going and who you was.
Well, I was on online dating, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I was talking to this gentleman. He lived in Jacksonville. And he was a minister of music.
There you go, in the church. Trying to find love in the church.
I was still trying. It was something about finding love in I was trying to find love in the church. Trying to keep it in the church. So I lived in Miami. He lived in Jacksonville. We talked for about a month. And then Memorial Day was coming up, which was May. and we decided to meet in Orlando, which they was having a conference, a church conference in Orlando, but we wasn't going to the church conference.
Y'all was going to have a conference.
We was going to have a conference, but it wasn't at church.
Y'all was going to have a meeting tonight.
Yes. Yes. So we decided that we were going to meet up at, in Orlando, the spot we was going to meet at and everything. So I was a caregiver back then.
Yeah.
And I remember the client that I had, he called me. I was to the sink. I was washing dishes and they was eating. And he said, "Kathy, come into the table." And he was showing me a paper that was the New York Times. Because they lived in Miami, but they used to get the New York Times because they was from New York. And he said the man had one prosthetic leg and he wanted to go. He beat the man that has legs. I said, okay. And then I went back to the sink. He called me to the table again. He said, "Kathy, the man with the prosthetic leg beat the man with real legs and he wanted to go." I said, okay. And I went back to the sink. I didn't know that was God let me know you getting ready to lose your legs. Ooh. And I was like, it never dawned on me. So, I'm getting ready for this. Go meet the minister of music. I'm getting ready to go meet him in Orlando. I remember leaving on Memorial Day. I told my kid, I cooked and my kids were older. So I said, well, I'm going to meet some friends in Orlando and I'll be back, on Monday. I get on the highway.
This was what day?
Memorial Day.
Okay, so it was a Friday, or because you said you'd be back on Monday, so it was like a.
No, it was on a Monday, so I was gonna be back a couple of days later.
Okay.
So I get on the highway. Before I get on the highway, I leave the house. I said, "Oh, I done left my glasses." I turned back around when I got my glasses, and then I remember turning back around for about 2 times. I turned around 3 times. Then I got on the highway. And I'm riding on the highway, and I finally get on the Florida Turnpike, taking me to Orlando. And my daughter texted me, and I remember reading the text. She said, "Did you pray, Mama?" I said, "Oh, no. The only thing I said was, God give you angels charge over me." Now, I wasn't in the church, but I knew how to pray.
And you knew what you was doing, about to go do. You can't pray too hard.
I couldn't pray too hard. I was like, "Lord, give your angels charge over me."
Yeah.
And then I'm driving for about an hour. Then I hear this loud noise. And I stopped the car on the side of the road, but I didn't get out. I just looked back there. I didn't see nothing. So I started back driving again. And then the tire blew out. Then the car is spinning around in the road, and finally it stopped. And this husband and wife got out the car, and the husband said, "I can push you out the road." He pushed me out the road and pushed me in the breakdown lane. We get in the breakdown, like he said, I could put another tire on if you got another tire. I had a tire in the trunk. I get out, both of us walk to the trunk. We get to the trunk. When he took the tire out of the trunk, I'm still standing there. About maybe a second later, a car came, hit me, and tore both my legs off, just like that. They said the car hit me, tore my legs off. They say when the car hit you, your legs flew off and you just dropped.
Oh my God.
And then after that, people that saw the accident, they got out of their cars and they said they ran. This is what everybody tell them. They ran over there to help you, and say seven people were in the medical field that helped. 7 completion. And when I was unconscious, and when I I'm on the ground, I came to, and I remembered, I was like, I was going to meet this man, because I was trying to figure out, why am I on the ground? I was like, I was going to meet this man. And I'm like, Lord, forgive me. God, help me. But I didn't know he had already helped me. He already had done helped me. Even though I was like, I'm going to meet some other man. And then the husband, the real husband, God, he out there done saved my life.
I told y'all. Whew. So, now you mentioned that God warned you to not take that trip. Looking back, how did that moment shape your understanding of obedience and trust in His voice?
I'm not so. I listen to God now.
I would too.
I listen to God now. I pay attention to the signs because I can't never say God didn't warn me or didn't let me know that you getting ready to lose your legs because nothing catches him by surprise.
Nothing.
You know, I can't say, well, God, why you didn't tell me that I was gonna lose my legs? Well, I did. I called you to the table twice.
Jesus.
And the man showed you that the man was getting ready that hadn't lost his legs and had on his prosthetics and wanted to go. I called you to the table twice. I'm letting you know something getting ready to happen. And I wasn't paying attention because I'm looking for love in a man.
And let's go back to two things. Now, this first thing, now I don't know if I read this in your book or we was talking, but didn't they change all your tires except one or something? And
They changed. I went for one tire.
Yeah.
No, I went for 2 tires.
Yeah.
And you know, in the car, when you go to get your tires done, they walk around your whole car.
And supposed to inspect all
your tires. So he inspected. I went for 2 tires. He walked around the car and he came back to the door and said, "You need one more tire." I said, "Okay." So the tire that he didn't choose, that's the one that blew. That one that blew out.
Golly. Okay. That's going to be good later on. Put a pin in that.
Okay.
So, now when you get to the hospital in your book, the whole thing was divine. This whole accident, because the way that it happened, after you had the accident, the people pulling over were doctors in the medical field. Coming to see you. Then you get to the hospital, and the hospital is named after your last name. Holmes, what was it?
Holmes Regional. It was in Melbourne, Florida. They airlifted me.
And what did they say?
Every time a doctor came in, they were like, "You famous." I was like, "Why? You at Holmes Regional." I was like, "Okay." So every time and it was a private hospital, and it was the best trauma hospital in Florida. So I'm thinking God didn't love me, but he gave me the best.
Oh.
He gave me the best. He gave me the best hospital. Even though I opened up the door for the enemy to come in and take both of my legs, but after that, I guess God said, "That's enough. That's enough. You can't take a life."
I got her attention now.
I got her attention right now. And they said soon as you got hit, everybody just pulled over and started jumping out their cars and running over there.
A lot of people always say, and I wear this shirt that say, "God loves everybody, but I'm his favorite." At this point, I feel like I got to get that shirt to you. Because when I tell you, God is mindful of you. When I know in your book, you said you were so mad at God, thinking that he didn't love you. And as I'm reading this, all I could say to myself, baby, he loved you. He loves you. Like, he didn't take your life, but he took your legs. Baby, he loves you. He could have caught you in it. He gave you an opportunity. Oh my gosh. At what point after this, did you realize, God, okay, it's more for my life?
When I didn't die on the highway and I realized what I was getting ready to do, I realized God loved me. Because if I had died that day, I wouldn't see Jesus. I was going to hell because I wasn't serving God. I went to church. You know, I had a form of godliness, but I went to church, but I wasn't serving God because I'm angry with this man. Even though all that stuff that happened to me as a little girl, you ain't love me. You don't love me. You let all that stuff happen to me. I was a child. These are people that supposed to love me, and these wasn't step uncles and these are preachers and blood uncles and stuff. You let all that stuff happen to me. You can't love me. But when on that highway, I realized if I had died that day, I wouldn't have made it to heaven. I wouldn't have seen Jesus when he come back. I would have went to hell. So me losing my legs wasn't a bad thing.
Oh my God. it's the song that we sing at church. How many times must I show you that I love you?
Mm-hmm.
Mm. Last week's episode, Josh talked about how he lost his sight to save his soul. This week, we're talking about losing our life to save. Oh my goodness. It's power in losing.
Mm-hmm. It is. I wouldn't change a thing.
It wasn't for nothing.
Mm-mm.
Whew. So, what was the darkest moment for you after you left the hospital and you're starting to adjust? Because, like I said on the other episode with Josh, it's easy to come back from something when you know it's going to heal.
Mm-hmm.
You broke your arm, your finger, your toe. You know you're going to, get better, but your legs, there's no coming back.
Mm-mm.
You have to, like a baby, you got to you got to learn how to walk again.
Yes.
So what was the darkest moment for you, and how did you find your way out of that mental place?
When I got out the hospital, out of rehab, and got home, reality kicked in.
Mm.
I don't have no legs. I would cry, and I went into a really dark place because I tried to commit suicide every day. I would wake up mad with God. You should have killed me. You should have let me die. Even though now I know why he didn't let me die. Now I'm in this dark place and I'm telling him, you should have just let me die out there. I got to live like this. I was already being rejected when I had legs. Now you got me with no legs. Now I'm being rejected some more. So I would take pills every day. Every day. But I would wake up the next day, and then my godmother, she told me, baby, I think you need to stop doing that because you ain't doing it right. You keep waking up. I was like, yes, ma'am, you right. But I was doing it every day until it's like something just clicked. I started reading my Bible, and because I was pushing God away. I didn't want no parts of him, really.
Even after all he had done.
After all he had done, I didn't want to live like that. I didn't want to live with how do I live like that? You done let me, and my legs are gone. I'm just fussing every day. And then finally I just started reading the Bible, and this verse just stuck out to me, and I memorized it. It said, behold, I am the Lord, the God of all flesh. Is there anything too hard for me? And I used to say that every day. Then I started praying and reading more and more and more in God's word. And that's what gave me strength, because if I hadn't, because I was trying to kill myself, I wasn't doing it right. I would call 911. I'm going to commit suicide. And they send somebody out there. And then what really made me stop trying to really commit suicide, what really made me stop, I called one day. The police came. I'm sitting to the back door with my purse in my lap. I'm waiting on them. So they was like, well, we ain't going to. They said, we're not going to take you because they're going to Baker Act you. And we just think you need to talk to somebody. So I go in. They let me talk to this doctor. And he was like, what took you so long to get here? Because normally when people lose their legs, they're here, a little quicker than that. He said, so what you been doing? I said, well, I read my Bible and stuff. He was like, well, it's working for you. Keep doing it. It was like I couldn't get away from God. I couldn't get away from him. The doctor telling me to keep on reading the Bible, keep praying. You go to the mental health doctor, you ain't looking for him to say that. He said, it's working for you.
Wow. So you talk about forgiveness in your book a lot. Was it harder to forgive them, forgive yourself, or forgive God?
It was hard for me to forgive God.
Why?
I felt like he allowed me to go through a lot of tragedy and trauma. at a young age. So I had to find a way to forgive him. And one day I was having a breakdown. You know, when I moved here to North Carolina, I'm having a breakdown, and I met a young lady. We became friends, and I'm calling her. I'm just crying on the phone, just crying and fussing. And she was like, "Can I ask you a question?" And I never wanted to admit it out loud because I thought it was a sin.
Yeah.
She said, "Are you mad with God?"
Oh my God.
I was like, "Yeah, I'm mad with him. Yeah, he let this happen. He let that happen. He let that happen." And then what I noticed, I can say that I'm mad because that does not intimidate God. He already knew I'm mad, so you might as well go ahead and say it out loud. So I noticed that don't back him up in no corner like, "Oh, I'm scared." No, I want you to tell me how you feel. And so she asked me, "Are you mad with God?" I was like, "Yeah." I went to going down the line, everything that what he allowed to happen to my life. And so I told her, yeah, and that was my first time admitting it out loud. Mm-hmm. That I was mad with God, because I would never admit it out loud to people because they made you feel bad when you said that. You shouldn't say that, or this and that. But I was actually mad with him because all this stuff done happened. Now I'm in a wheelchair. Yeah. Now I have no legs.
Yeah.
What's next?
Yeah.
And you want me to serve you?
Ooh.
You want me to love you? You want me to do all of that after all of this? How can I? You're going to have to show me how to do that.
Mm, 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 mm. Mm. Mm-mm. I usually have stuff back to back to say, but I tell you, but I'm just in awe. Wow. Mm. What would you say to someone who feels as if God let them down, or he wasn't there for them in their most hardest moment or traumatic experience?
The only thing that I can say is what a pastor had told me when I had lost my legs. He said, "Kat, I don't know what you're going through." He said, "But the only thing I can tell you is trust God." And trust is hard, but he said, "Trust God." And I learned to trust God. It wasn't easy. I had to learn to trust him, because even after I lost my legs, you got, when I first lost them, I had a big crowd around me. Yeah. Then all of a sudden, now you got to walk this thing by yourself with no legs. Now I got to trust you. How am I going to trust you? But I would tell them, just trust God.
Mm-hmm. I want to put a pin in that trust part, but I want to pivot to this. It was something that Josh said in his episode last week, when he was having a down day, a bad day, kind of like a depression day. He was saying how his friend told him, "Josh, name all the things that's going good for you right now." And he started to name it and name it and name it. He said, sooner or later, I got myself up.
Okay.
Because it's like, yeah, we going through a lot right now. Mm-hmm. And for you, you may not have your legs, but you got your life. Mm-hmm. God, I may have been through all this, but I'm still here. Mm-hmm. I'm still in my right mind. And I think that's very important too. Turning that pain into purpose and looking at the cup half full instead of half empty, because as Pastor says in her episode, you got power to get up.
That's right.
You got power to get up. So go back to this trust in God, because after the wreck, of course, you got some money.
Yes.
We got some money. You got some big money too.
Yes, sir.
And that was the God telling you right there, baby. I took it, but I'm going to get you paid too. Yeah. I'm going to give you a better life.
Yes.
So after you got that, now I know, I can't remember if this is in the book of the stuff we talked about, but after you got it, I know you started, building houses here and there, everywhere. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, once God blessed me, I had already moved out of Miami. I moved to Jacksonville. And he blessed me when I was in Jacksonville. And I bought me a house, because I came from the projects. I stayed in the project with all my kids and stuff. So I bought me a house. I bought me a car when I learned how to drive again. Because I had to drive with the hand control.
What car you had?
I had a Cadillac. So, because the attorney asked me when we won, he said, "What you gonna buy? What's the first thing you gonna buy?" I said, "I'm gonna buy me a Cadillac." He said, "Well, buy you a Cadillac." So I bought me a house in Jacksonville. But the strangest thing was, even though God had blessed me with all that money, I still wasn't healed from any other stuff that happened to me.
God.
So the money, when it came in, I was still trying to buy friendships and stuff. And people saw that. When people see desperation, they take advantage of that. They can see it on the outside.
Yeah.
So people was taking advantage of me, but I allowed them to take advantage of me. I'm trying to buy friendship, but I know they really wasn't my friend. And these were people in the church and in the church, out of the church. So people asking for money, I'm giving it to them because I want some. I'm trying to fill a void. I was trying to fill voids.
Yeah.
And so I moved out. I prayed and asked the Lord. I said, "Well, I thank you for this house you blessed me with, but I just want to move out of Florida because I wasn't happy."
Yeah.
Moved to Charlotte, bought another house. Wasn't happy because I'm still not healed from the inside.
Rich but broken.
Yes, I was broken. I was still broken. Sold that house, ended up building a house. Still broken. Then I went through this company and I said, "Well, I want to do something else." So I went through this company and
I can just hear the jingle in my head. We can't say the name, can we?
That's right. We can't say the name. We can't say that. I went through this company.
Call now.
I went through this company, and to make a long story short, I end up giving them my money, and I don't get it back to 2039. So I started going down this dark hole because I had to sell the house that I had just built. I sold it, ended up staying in an apartment, couldn't afford the apartment because I wasn't working, I wasn't getting the money, and ended up staying in a hotel. Yeah. I think I stayed into like 5 different hotels trying to not be on the street.
Yeah.
That's when I met you.
Yes. So, I want to go back to that day. Oh, I'm going to try not to cry. So, I remember you called, I was working at the hotel in Fort Mill. And I remember on the reservations, I seen Kathy Holmes. I said, "Oh, okay." And I clicked on the reservation, and it was a handicap room. It was the biggest room in the hotel. And it was like, the reservation was like for 6 months. And I think that day we were short on housekeepers, so we were only... I don't think they end up getting to all the rooms to clean. Mm-hmm. And so it was like a few regular rooms on the reservation, but it was one handicap room. And it was for 6 months. So I knew something was different about this room. I was like, this ain't no, staying overnight. Like, this is somebody that need this room. And so I was telling the GM at the time, because I think I was just front desk. Mm-hmm. I wasn't even AGM yet. I was front desk, part-time. And I said, we have a reservation for this room, for a handicap room. She was like, "Well, we don't have enough housekeepers, so we're just going to have to move her to a regular room." And I said, she's in a handicap room, so obviously she can't be in a regular room. She needs a handicap room. Mm-hmm. It was like, well, she's going to have to adjust. And that did not sit well with me. When I tell you, that bothered me. And I was working 2 jobs at the time. I was part-time at the hotel, full-time at Walmart. So I would do 7 to 2 at the hotel, and then 3 to 11 at Walmart. And so it came close to like 2 o'clock. Check-in was at 3. I think it was like 1:45. You come rolling in there with about 7 bags. You come rolling in there, and I said, "Hey, how are you?" "I'm good." Reservation for Kathy Holmes. And I said, and I just looked at the GM because you said don't clean the room. And I said, told you she ain't regular. I said she can't have no regular room. And she didn't say nothing. She just went in the office. And I said, okay. I said, well, it's not ready yet. The whole time, it ain't even been touched. We was going to just put that room off to the next day. And looking at my schedule and all that, I said, I don't have time to do this. Like, I have to go to this other job. And something in me said, she need this room. And so I made up in my mind. I put that sign up, and I gave her I took the phone. I put the sign up because, granted, she leaves at 3, and it was like 1:45, and I'm supposed to be off at 2, and I normally leave the hotel at like 2:30, 2:45 to get to Walmart about 3:00, and it was just me and her because the next person don't come in till 3 when she get off, so she'd be at the desk by herself for an hour. And I told her, I said, I'm going to clean this room. And she was like, you don't have to do that. I said, no. I said, I do. This is what it's about. And she's like, well, I wouldn't do that. I said, I'm not asking you to do it. I said, I'm going to clean it by myself. I've never cleaned a room. I've never been a housekeeper a day in my life. But I knew I had to clean that room. And I put the sign. She was like, well, just put the sign up and I'll take the phone. I said, okay. So I put the sign up and gave her the phone. And I grabbed the bundle of sheets, the cleaning supplies, everything like that. And I went up to that room. And I felt like Sheila off Why Did I Get Married? I said, I'm going up to this room to save my job. And I just bust out laughing in the elevator. And I said, Lord, I said, God, I don't know what I'm doing. I said, but just help me. I said, I know I got to clean this room. I said, I don't care if I'm late to this job. I said, I have to clean this room. When I tell you that thing was on me so bad, I had to clean the room. I wanted to clean that room. I cleaned that room too.
Yes, you did.
I cleaned that room. And I came back down. I said, now I don't know if the bed made properly to the hotel stand. I said, but it's clean. And I checked in, and then we was, and I think you called an Uber from Georgia to Fort Mill.
To Fort Mill.
And when you told me that, I said, she need this room. I said, she needs this room. And like I said, I cleaned that room and got you checked in. I think I was maybe like 30 minutes late to Walmart, but I didn't care. Because I feel like I had to do that. That was my assignment. I had to clean that room. And then after you got in there, boy.
The struggle started.
I did not know what I had signed myself up for. But it was a good struggle, though.
Yes.
Because I've never said this publicly, but I'm going to say it today.
Okay.
We were neighbors.
Yes, we were.
You had the room right across from me.
Yes, right.
Because I lived at the hotel, worked there in the morning, 7 to 2, and worked at Walmart from 3 to 11. And I was at the hotel by choice, too. Let's get that, because y'all like to run something. Let's get that together. But literally, and now, looking back, I know why I had to be there. Like, so many people I came in contact with, and I was like, this is why I had to come. And so, after you got there, things were going good.
Yes.
Things were going good.
Yes.
And then the struggle happened.
The struggle happened. I couldn't pay for the hotel. I'm struggling to pay for the hotel. And I remember you had me in the hallway. I'm crying, you hugging me. Don't cry, don't cry, don't cry. I'm crying like I'm going to be in the street. I'm going to have to go with all my stuff on the street. And you like, don't cry. And I said, he got a servant's heart. And you do.
Okay, don't make me cry. Don't make me cry. But literally, and I think for me, it hit me harder working there because I also lived there before I started working there. So I understood how it feels to have to pay weekly or daily or however. And so the biggest thing for me, and I would tell anybody who worked at a regular hotel and then going to an extended stay, these are two different ball games. People at a regular hotel are here for leisure, coming here, staying the night, going home. I said people are in extended stay. Every room has a story as to why they're here. And you can't treat, and I understand that, it's a business thing, like a business aspect where you got to pay. I said, but sometimes we got to show grace. And boy, I was showing it. When I tell you, it was like, I would like take credits from my room and I put it on your room. I said, I don't know. I said, but she can't get put out. I said, she can't. Y'all, I said, she got no legs. She can't get put out. And then it got to the point to where I think your balance had got so high. And she was like, she got to leave tonight. I said, okay. And it was like Friday. I said, okay. And I knew she wouldn't come back till Monday. I said, Kathy, don't you come out that room if she come here on a Saturday. I said, but you better be gone Monday morning.
That's right.
And so I don't know what happened, but then you even stayed longer past that.
Yeah.
It was just... And then I remember when I would cook, I would invite... I'd be like, neighbor, you want some food? Yeah, you would come over there. I remember the first time he came, but he was like, my God, it's nice in here. I had pictures on the wall.
My neighbor apartment was nice. I mean, he had the pictures on the wall, the carpet on the floor, the dinette set up. I mean, everything was together. The comforter matching the rugs. It was nice. It was nice. You come on, neighbor, and eat. I gone on over there.
I said, roll on over here.
Roll on over here and get something to eat.
But even in that, you helped me a lot too. Because when I tell you that period of my life was so dark, and I didn't understand, and I thought my life was just horrible. And then I met you, and you just was this little ball of energy. And I said, she ain't got no legs, and she just happy. And I said, here I am, just so bitter. And I remember you asking me, you was like, are you mad at God? I said, because it was just like, you ever get to the point, you was like, I would have never thought I'd be here. Mm-hmm. Me? Out of all people.
That's what I said.
But I'm grateful that I was there. I'm grateful for that period, for meeting the people that I've met, the lives that I've changed, and the people who's changed my life. Mm-hmm. And of course for meeting you. I'm so glad I met you.
I'm glad I met you too.
Yeah. So after you ended up leaving the hotel, mm-hmm. And I remember telling you, I said, Kathy, I don't know how this gonna work out. I said, but he gonna work it out. And I remember I sent you that song, God Will Work It Out. Mm-hmm. Pastor Monica Ross was saying it. And I said, Kathy, one thing I know, one thing I found, I said, he gonna work it out. I said, he working even now. And then you were packing up, and you was holding it together, and I knew you wanted to cry. Because your eyes was getting filled, and I think you ended up giving me a laptop, and you was just giving me, I was like, give me that cake pan. I said, you ain't gonna bake no way. I said, give me the cake pan. And you were just giving me stuff.
I was just giving away stuff.
When I tell you, when you left, I was like my neighbor. I just felt like we was just like two peas in a pod. Mm-hmm. And I said, Lord, you know. Because literally I think I'd done everything that God wanted me to do.
Yes.
And the rest was on him. Because I remember telling you, when they finally came and picked you up, I think you called an Uber that day. And I want you to tell the story about what happened after that, too.
Okay.
So you called an Uber, and I remember it was a van.
Yeah.
And he did not know you had all that stuff because he was mad. He was mad. I said, she'll be okay. I said, she ain't going to bother you. Just calm. I said, I'll put it in the trunk. You ain't got to look like that. And I waved. Boy, I thought I was sending somebody to college. I wanted to cry so bad. I was like, because literally I had grew so attached to you to where I wanted you to be okay because I knew your heart and I knew you had been through so much.
And you had your grandma praying for me.
I had everybody praying for you.
Your grandma was praying. She was like, she gonna be okay.
She giving you scriptures.
She gave me scriptures and everything.
I said, God, this one on you. And we lost contact for a while. And then I had finally found you again. And then, so when you left the hotel that day, what happened after that?
I was still learning how to trust God.
Yeah.
Went to another hotel. It was nice. Stayed there for about 2 weeks, and then the same thing happened. I got behind. And now that I look back at it, God was teaching me still how to trust him. Apparently, I wasn't really trusting him.
Yeah.
So he was still teaching me how to trust him because I'm sitting in the lobby with all my stack of stuff, just a whole lot of stuff. And they come over there, one of the workers come over there, you all right? And because I had money, and then...
Let me stop you right there.
Okay.
I forgot this part.
Okay.
Oh, that's my phrase too. Let me stop you right there.
Okay.
Because I remember it got so bad. You started GoFundMe.
Yes.
And you had the money on there, but it took like 2-3 weeks for them to get it.
Yeah.
And then we got to where I think you were starting to get unemployment or disability or something.
Yeah.
And it took 2 weeks for the first payment to come out. I said, Lord, what is it? I said, we trying our best. But it's literally like every time we think we'll get ahead, we'll get pulled back. I said, Kathy, it's gonna work itself out. She's like, I know. You just be like, but you ain't the one with a balance. I was like, Kathy, I know. I just know it was gonna work out. And okay, go back.
So I stayed at that hotel. They came over there. The lady talking to me. She said, how much you got in the bank? I say $76. So she said, well, it was the weekend. I say $76. So they took the $76 and she said, we'll figure it out on Monday. So Monday came, the general manager was there, and then he said, well, then what they did, God is good. I'm just telling you, God is good. It was 2 of the women there said, we'll pay for each night. So they started paying for the nights for me. They started doing what you was doing. They started paying for the nights for me. So now that I think about it, he wanted me to trust him. So they paid for it. Then I was like, I can't pay no more. I got to go. So I still had a little bit of money. So I went to another hotel. This one, it was nice and everything. And, every night, every day, I come out the room, sit in the lobby, and I was like, Lord, I don't know who to call to ask for no money from. And so I would just sit there, and then he would bring somebody to mind, and then I would ask them, and they would send the money just like that. So then I got a job. I ended up getting a job, and...
Let me stop you again.
Okay.
Because as you talk, things are coming back to my mind. Because this is over 4 years when we met.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I remember you had a job interview. God, we prayed.
Yeah, we did.
We prayed, and you said, I got an interview. I said, Lord, I thank you. I said, now she can start paying. And you came down there, you had that poofy hair. And that's another thing. You had so much hair in them rooms. I said, what you got? I said, Lord, this Tyson Beauty. But you came down there, you was decked out now.
Yes, I was.
Rolling through that. I seen your poof before I saw you, though. You come to that, I said, there go Kathy. And she said, I'm going on my interview. And then that's when little things were starting to come together. You had got the bus vouchers. Mm-hmm. And they was coming down to get you. I said, okay, Lord. I said, I see you moving. Mm-hmm. And you went to the interview, and they didn't hire you.
Yeah, they didn't
And I said, God.
They didn't hire me. So that kind of set me back. I was like, I ain't gonna be able to pay for the hotel. You was like, we prayed again.
Yeah.
Start praying again, and I ended up getting put out.
Yeah.
And I ended up at the other hotel. They called me. I got a job. Started working because it was around the holidays. It was around Thanksgiving. Yeah. Got a job, started working. I enjoyed the job. I was like, okay, Lord, I was able to pay for the hotel, and God gave me favor at the hotel that I ended up at. It wasn't an extended stay. It was just a regular hotel. But God gave me favor because when I didn't have it, they would wait till I got paid. So I was learning. I was still learning how to trust God without money now.
Yeah.
Now I'm learning how to trust God, because when I had money, I wasn't happy with the money. And I remember telling God, I didn't say this part. I remember telling God, when people were using me, when I was allowing people to use me and stuff, I remember telling God, you shouldn't even bless me with this money. You got to watch what you say when you're depressed.
God almighty.
Because that will come back. When you get in your right mind, it will come back. Now, well, you said I shouldn't have blessed you with this money. Now you don't have no money. Now you got to learn how to trust me. And I learned how to trust God.
And so, once you were at that hotel and working, I think you ended up finding out your brother was in the area, and you ended up coming back up to this area because you was far off.
Yeah, I ended up staying at a shelter in Columbia. I called the shelter while I was in Charlotte, because I didn't want to keep, putting the hotel in jeopardy. I was like, I'm just keep falling behind, and they keep working with me. So I called this shelter in Columbia, and I asked them what I needed to do to come to the shelter, and she was like, you got to be here 8:30 in the morning. And I remember giving stuff away again to the maids, because I hadn't gotten to know them. We had got close, so I gave stuff away. And I remember the Uber driver, he became a good friend of mine. So I said, could you take me down to the shelter? So I paid him. He drove me all the way to Columbia. And then when he saw the shelter, he didn't want to let me out of the car. He was like, you sure you're going to be okay? And I didn't even know if I was going to get a bed or nothing, because you had to be there at 8:30 in the morning just to get in line. And it was up to them if they was going to give you a bed. And he dropped me off there, and I went on in there. They gave me a bed, and I stayed there for a while. I had my job transferred up there. Had it transferred, and I started getting letters from Charlotte for an apartment, a senior apartment. So I said, I'm going to have to go back to Charlotte now. So I stayed at the shelter for about 2 months, and I ended up catching an Uber. I was just catching an Uber everywhere. So I got another Uber, went back to that same hotel, transferred my job. God favored me, because I'm transferring the job, and they doing it. They transferring the job. So the Uber brought me back, and I end up the apartments. They contacted me again. I went. Then we had that hurricane. I was like, my luck just ain't good, Lord. The lights went out at the hotel. Then I remember my mother, she stays in Florida. And she said, your brother living in Charlotte. So I ended up contacting him. And I went over there. I called an Uber to his house. And he came out. We hugged, because we hadn't seen each other in a while. And he was like, well, I got 3 bedrooms. You can come here. So we got in the car, went to the hotel, and got everything, because, the lights was out at the hotel anyway. They couldn't do anything. And I stayed with him for a while in the apartments. The apartment came open. And I moved in December, and that's where I'm at now.
There's a song that comes to my mind. Didn't I tell you it would be all right? Didn't I tell you it would be all right? That's how the song goes. 'Cause literally, I told you, and it was dark too.
It was a dark place. I was in a dark place.
And I remember, I think at the hotel, you were wanting to end it all day. I said, no, Kathy, I'm at work.
Yeah, I wanted to end. Yeah, I wanted to end it at the hotel. I was tired. It was like, you wasn't happy when you had money. Now you ain't got no money, and now you're going through all this. I wish I could have did it differently. Lord, I would have did it like this. And that's when you go to reasoning with God, like, I wish I would have had done it this way. I wish I had done it that way. And he just taught me how to trust him. I trust in all that. Even though I was so low, God was right there with me. Mm-hmm. Because I forgot to tell you, I was on the street one night.
Sure was, because you called me.
Yes, I did.
And I said, Kathy, what you want me to do?
I was on the street one night. I was having an anxiety attack.
Wait, because you said, I don't know. I just had to call somebody. I said, Kathy, you know I'm scary. I said, you know I ain't coming out there. I just better call the police.
I ended up calling the police, and they was there. It was raining. It was cold, and I was like, I say, Lord, be with the people who out here homeless, because I would not be able to do that every night. I was having an anxiety attack and everything out there. They took me to the hospital. Went to the hospital, and so they admitted me in the hospital that night, and they said, "You're not trying to take your life, are you?" I said, "No." So they admitted me in the hospital. I guess when you're homeless, they'll keep you in there for about 2-3 days until they can find something. So they still couldn't find nothing. So they said, we gonna have to discharge you. And I remember I had $50-something on my card, and I ended up going back to that hotel in South Carolina. I went there. That's when I got the job, and God started moving. He just started moving. Things just started falling into place. Cause I had to get it together. I was like, I got to get it together. I got to get it together. Mentally, I had to get it together.
Mm. Mm. From Tragedy to Triumph.
Yes.
Is the title of your book.
Mm-hmm.
What does triumph look like for you today? And how did you finally get there emotionally and spiritually?
I had to trust God. You know, all the things that I have gone through from up to now, I wouldn't change a thing, because it has taught me how to trust God. You know, when some little small stuff happen, I'm going to trust God. Something big come up, I'm going to trust God. Because I've learned, my godmother always told me, she was like, if it happens, God allowed it to happen.
Mm.
So he had a reason. And I learned this. And if you look hard in the negative thing, you will see God in it.
Mm.
You will see him. But you got to look for him. We don't want to look for God in the negative thing because we don't think he in it. But look at me. I'm on the highway. I'm there almost dead. And he got all these people out here to save my life, because I love her so much. I want her to know that I love her so much that I'm not going to let her die in her sin. I'm going to give her time to repent. And that's what he did. God, to this day, I know God loved me. Nobody can't tell me nothing different.
Yeah. Because he warns you.
Yeah.
Too. So it's like, he probably was like, daughter, I don't want to take your legs, but I'm trying to give you a hint. And I want to go back. When you was telling me the story about the New York Times, when you said the man won the race, you say it again?
The man, they had the Olympics in New York one year, and apparently they had the clients that I had, they used to get the paper in Miami because they were from New York. And he called me to the table. He said the man with the prosthetic legs beat the man who had real legs, and he won the gold.
And the gold is the highest.
Yes, he won the gold.
That's all I needed to hear.
Okay.
Even because when you said that part right there, that was kind of a twofold thing that he was saying to you. He was warning you that you was going to lose your legs, but he was also warning you, and not warning, but letting you know that you still going to win.
Mm-hmm.
You going to come out on top, even with, no legs.
That's right.
God, that was good. Even when you kept saying it, that just kept, he was like, I'm going to take them. I'm going to take the legs, but you still going to win. You still going to come in first, and you still going to have everything you supposed to have.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm still going to make sure you good. So was there a specific moment when you realized, I'm not just surviving anymore, I'm finally living again? What did that feel like?
That felt good.
Yeah.
Because everything that childhood sexual abuse took from me, God gave it back when I lost my legs. Because I started doing stuff. I started selling cakes. I'm selling wigs. I'm writing a book. I'm just doing all this stuff I'm doing. I wouldn't have never did it when I had legs, because I didn't have no self-confidence.
Yeah.
You know, sexual abuse, it takes all that from you.
Yeah.
But I'm one day God said I gave it all back.
Yeah.
in the wheelchair. I wasn't afraid to do nothing. It wasn't nothing that you couldn't tell me, oh, you can't do that. I didn't listen to people like that.
Yeah.
But when I had legs, I did. If you told me, well, you can't do that, okay, I can't do that.
Yeah.
But once I lost my legs, God gave me a confidence that I can't even explain.
And I can see it because, like, on your social media, the way you be swinging from this and doing pull-ups and lifts, I be like, go, girl. So, restoration. What were some of the first signs of God's restoration in your life? After the accident, after getting back on your feet, after meeting certain people, when did you realize, okay, God, you giving me a do-over, you giving me a chance to get it right now?
When I lost everything.
Mm.
When I lost the money, lost the houses, the car, and everything. When I lost everything.
Wow. Wow. Mm. I saw a photo the other day, a caption. It said, sometimes the best way to start over is from scratch, from nothing.
That's right.
But this time, starting over the right way.
Mm-hmm.
Taking everything we learned the first go round and applying it this time. So you share about your family in the book. How did your accident and healing journey affect those closest to you?
Well, my kids were home, and it affected them real bad. And until they made a room at the hospital just for them when I was in intensive care, because they didn't know if I was going to live or die. So they made a room for them to stay because they was coming back and forth from Miami, and they was like 2 hours away. So they made a room for them to stay until I got out of intensive care. So they took it hard, and my aunt said she remembered them all ran into her house, and told her what happened. And she said the saddest thing was, she said, I have 7 kids, but I had six of them was there. And she said all of them ran in the house and just fell on her lap. And she was like, that was just the saddest thing. And they took it hard.
Yeah, yeah. So losing your legs could have meant losing your identity, but instead you found purpose. How did you begin to see yourself as, quote unquote, born to win?
When I started doing stuff, I had a women's group. I called it Broken and Healed.
Yeah.
I had a women's group. I started baking.
Mm-hmm.
I made a gospel CD.
Yeah.
I wrote the book. I just started doing a lot of stuff that I wouldn't have never done.
Yeah.
And I was meeting people when I moved here in North Carolina.
Yeah.
I'm meeting people out in the public. I'm talking and everything. So it was good.
That's good. So what's the biggest message or takeaway that you hope people will receive from your story and from your book?
Trust God. Even if you can't, trust God. Talk about what you've gone through, because that's where the healing begins. You got to talk about it. If you hold it in, you're just not going to heal.
There was a something in your book. This will be the last thing.
Okay.
I saw it the other night when I was reading it. I gotta find it.
You really read the book.
I did. I kept it for so long. It was something. I think it was the last page. Oh, that's it. It says, even though I went through sexual abuse, rape, shame, and losing my legs, God can still use me and get the glory out of my life. The circumstances seemed impossible to me, but not with God. Now that I look back over my life, and I have to say it like this.
Okay.
Knowing what I know now.
Okay.
That has just been ringing with me. But now that I look back over my life, God was in control all the time.
That's right.
He preserved me through my struggles and directed my path to his purpose. I can tell you today This is what you saying because I can't tell. But
Okay. Okay.
that you received your high school diploma in 2003.
Mm-hmm.
Pursued your bakery vision in 2007.
Mm-hmm.
Started college in 2009.
Mm-hmm.
Recorded your first gospel CD in 2011. You started a women's group, Broken and Healed. Finished this book in 2014. God has turned my tragedy into triumph. Glory to God. It was no goodness of my own that I accomplished most of my goals, but God gave me the confidence and the strength, and He saw me through. One of the songs on my project says, He turned my mourning into dancing. He turned my sorrow into joy. Remember, God can love you as if you were never abused. I leave you with this scripture. For your shame, ye shall have double. Ooh, that's good to me. For your shame, ye shall have double, and for confusion, they shall rejoice in their portion. Therefore, in their land, they shall possess the double. Everlasting joy shall be unto them. And it says, my prayer is that my story will help you find healing and restoration through your journey. No matter what has happened in your life, you are more than a conqueror through Jesus Christ that loves you. Your past does not equal your future. Thanks be to God who always calls you to triumph. You were born to win.
Amen.
So 11 years ago,
Okay.
you wrote the book. A lot has happened in 11 years.
Mm-hmm.
So as Oprah would say, where are you now? Spiritually, mentally, emotionally, physically?
Spiritually and mentally, I'm in a good place now. I'm in a good place. I trust God a lot. I got my own apartment. I'm not in the hotel no more.
Where you at now? Tell her where you at.
I'm uptown.
You in uptown with a view now. Let me tell you something. Baby got a view. She ain't got to have no nightlight. She can just roll up the curtain and let the light. Let me tell you.
So I got my own apartment. I still work at the same company. Still work there. When they transferred me back, I stayed. So I'm still working. I'm working on my a second book. It's a prayer book.
Yeah.
So that's it.
Literally, your life is just when He restores, He restores. He said He gonna give back everything the cankerworm took away.
That's right.
And it's better. Literally, His hand is all on you, and I can tell you one of His favorites. I can tell. Kathy, this was good. I'm so glad you finally made it on the podcast.
I'm glad you invited me.
It was good. She has a book out. Where can they buy the book?
On Amazon.
It's on Amazon. From Tragedy to Triumph, Born to Win. I lost my legs to recover my life. Thank you so much for coming by. I know that this episode is going to do wonders because it just been blessed me all through. Faith and Fun family, thank you for tuning in to this episode. Remember, make sure y'all liking, commenting, and subscribing. I know y'all watching, but I need you to subscribe too. All right, thanks. See you next time.
Mendez, I see what you doing. That podcast, that's gonna be big. That's it. I seen it last night. Don't you let nobody discourage. I'll back you. I'll back